Hello friends, Kid Charming here. I probably look a little fancy today. Isn't my coat brilliant? I love how beautiful my coat is. Just feeling a little bit dressy today, I guess. There's a reason for it, but we'll see if I end up telling you guys about that later on in the next couple of weeks. So, today I want to talk about friends and how important friendship can be. I call you guys my friends because I do enjoy getting to talk to you guys every day. Though I don't get a lot of talking back. Like, what kind of, like, I thought we were friends. I thought we had something cool going on here, but I never really get a lot of feedback from you guys. But that's okay. Though, communication is key in a relationship, by the way. In all relationships, there needs to be communication. There needs to be good communication. It's something that I pride myself on with me and my wife, is that we always communicate with each other how we're feeling, what we're doing, you know, just communicating as a couple to make sure that we're on the same page at all times. But it also works the same way with a friendship. You need to communicate. You need to make sure that everybody knows how you feel and what you're doing. Like, if you get offended by something that they've said, and you don't say anything, you just let that dwell inside of you and just kind of like fester inside of you. It's not going to be good for your friendship. Your friendship's not going to be there for very much longer. You need to, you know, broach the subject, but in a respectful and not too emotional manner. That means, you know, don't go be like, dude, what the F are you doing? Why do you got to be such a so-and-so and so-and-so? I mean, unless that's the kind of relationship you have with the person and they know you're not completely 100% serious and all that jazz. But, you know, like, you need to communicate your feelings and what's going on with you in a respectful and nice, polite way, normally. Because people get defensive if you kind of go at them rawr way. Rawr. Don't do that. So friendships are important because these are the people that are going to have your back. Now, beware of people that say they're your friends that they're not. You can judge by a person's actions what kind of person they are. Those who say they have your back and then they don't, you don't want those kind of people in your life. I mean, if it happens once or twice, that's fine. Sometimes there are things that go on in people's lives that they can't control. But if it's a continuous thing that they never have your back, but you're always there for them, that kind of just doesn't seem okay to me. I have people in my life that have always been there, and, you know, if I ever needed anything, they were there for me, and those friends are the ones that I keep. Growing up, my mother said I didn't have a lot of friends, but the friends that I did have were always very close. I was always very close with them and spent a lot of time with them and trusted them very much, and cared about them very much. So those are the type of friends that that's the type of thing that I did growing up and that I continue to do. Like, I don't have a lot of friends, but the friends I do have, I keep them close and I make sure that they're okay. You know, I'm always there for them whenever they need it, whether it be 3 o'clock in the morning or not. If they need me, I'm there. They can call me anytime they want, and they know that. And I think that's something that everybody needs, at least 1 or 2 friends that you can say, you know, you would drop everything for. And I do have those friends. Most of the time I call them family. They're my chosen family. I have, like I said, Tara and Jess. I have Danny and Rachel and Linda and Melinda and many more. Well, not many more, but I do have more than that, that I would drop everything for and be there for them in a second if they ever needed it. Barb, Briar, if they ever needed me. There's more, and it's not that I don't care about them, and that's why I don't remember what their names are. It's just that I know a lot of people, and I've been lucky enough to have quite a few close friends that I can depend on. It's just trying to remember them all at once is difficult because I kind of put pressure on myself. So there are people that I would drop everything for and help in an instant. It's good to have these people in your life because they're the ones that you can go to when you need something too. You don't feel like you can't go to them or it's too much for them to handle. Sometimes if you know, knowing from experience of things that they've been through, that this is something that you did not want to talk to them right away about, that's fine. That's respecting somebody because you know that this is a touchy subject for them. And it's not always agreeing with what they say. I can have arguments with my friends and we're still cool. We just know that it's something that we're never going to agree on, and that's okay. That doesn't affect our friendship in any way. We get frustrated with one another about it, of course, but it doesn't define, just because we can't agree on one thing doesn't mean I can't be that person's friend anymore. Like that would be stupid. Also, I work with a lot of my friends, and even if there's something work related that we don't agree on or we've had an argument about, it doesn't affect our friendship one way or another. We keep the friendship part of that away from our duties as, at our job, and we don't let our friendship affect our job either. I say that even though there are some people that I would do things for that I wouldn't do for other people, but that's only because of actually how I know they are in the work environment and how well they do in the work environment. Like, it may sound petty, I'm sorry, and I'm not saying that you should always do this, but there are people in the work environment that just take advantage all the time, and they just want to take advantage of people all the time. And if you continue to do that, you don't say no, or, I can't, then you kind of get walked on. Some of my friends are meek and they do what they're told all the time, and they're always doing what's asked of them. But nobody reciprocates that to them. So when I have the chance, I reciprocate that back to them, because I want them to know that I do respect them as a fellow employee, as a coworker, and I respect them as a person. It's just the way that works. You got to keep your personal life and your work life separate. Like I said, I don't let the fact that I'm friends with somebody affect how I'm going to treat them. They still get treated the same way. And on the other hand, if I have a disagreement in a manager role with somebody who is my friend, and I have to do something and reprimand them, or we have a disagreement on how something's done, we don't let that affect our friendship at all. We usually end up just joking about it. So it's those are the type of friends you want, that they're not going to be offended or angry with you due to work things, because your work life and your personal life should be separate. Little words of wisdom. You want friends that are going to be non-toxic. So, I have a friend, and it's not her fault. Drama just follows her wherever she goes. She doesn't put this on herself. It's not something that she goes and seeks. It just happens to her all the time. Weird and terrible things happen to this person. I love her to death. I'm not going to say it out loud who she is, but she's going to watch this and she's going to know who it is. And normally you don't want a drama drawer in your circle of friends. Now, by that I mean someone who causes drama. You don't want that in your circle of friends. You don't want someone who's going to cause drama, who just looks for things to overreact to, or looks for things to get offended to, or is always tearing other people down. You don't want those people in your group of friends. That makes me sound very inclusive of people, but you don't want them as your close friends. If you have them around as acquaintances or just work friends, that's fine, whatever. Just make sure that you're not associated with them in a way that you end up getting in trouble. But I have a friend, and it's not her fault. It just weird stuff happens to her. And I feel really bad, but at the same time, every time she tells me something or I find something out that has happened to her lately, I'm like, well, what happened to her? This surprises me none, because this is who she is. This is just things that happen to her all the time. So it's just, yeah, I feel like, she's the exception to the rule, because she doesn't cause the drama. Drama just finds her. And she's a really nice person. She's just a wonderful, wonderful person, you know, to talk to. She's funny, but she's also deep in her thinking, and, you know, she's well-rounded in that. Once you get over the weird, I did tell her straight up, I was like, you were weird when I met you. You didn't dress for your age. She dresses kind of rocker-ish and stuff like that, and I wasn't used to that. So it was a weird thing for me, and I didn't understand the way she talked, and I didn't understand her as a person, but the more I got to know her, the more interested I was in her as a person. I may have judged too quick, and I will admit that I do that sometimes. I try not to, but I fell into an old habit on that one. But this person is actually a really good person to be around, and she makes fun of me. She'd watched one of the videos, and I was freaking out because I wasn't sure if I had been saying a word that didn't exist. So in the video where I'm talking about, you know, where I played softball and I got sopping wet. So I'm saying the words sopping wet, and she's like, what is that? Like, what does that even mean? Why wouldn't you just say soaking wet? And I'm like, well, sopping's a word, right? She's like, I don't even know if that's a word, Darcy. I don't know if that's actually a real word. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's a word. My parents used it. Like, my grandparents used it. Like, this has got to be a word. I'm freaking out because I don't want to be that person who uses a word that doesn't really exist. And, so she's laughing at me because I'm freaking out. But every time I said sopping in the video, she was laughing because she's like, you know, is that even really a word? So I ended up telling like one of the head managers, I was like, I need to know, is sopping a word? They're like, what do you mean sopping? I'm like, you know, like sopping wet. Is that a real thing? So that head manager ended up looking it up for me and was like, that is a word. It is a word to be the same, you know, as soaking wet, sopping wet works. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I actually screamed and fist pumped. I was like, yes, I'm right. So that was something that happened yesterday. But yeah, she teases me. She starts singing songs because she knows they're going to get stuck in my head, and then I'm going to end up singing them all day long. She's a jerk that way, but I love her to death. So she's one of those exceptions. I have friends that are really meek and quiet. I have friends that are loud and can be somewhat obnoxious, but in a very endearing and loving way. I have all different types of friends, but the one thing that I think ties us all together, that draws us in, is we're honest with one another and we're open with one another, and we just talk things out, and we can have fun with one another, and we don't take offense to anything that the other one is saying. That, I think, is the biggest thing for us, is that we have communication is that one of our foundations of about our friendship, and I enjoy that and trust. So once you have that open communication, you start building trust with somebody. You know, we're honest and we build trust with people. So that's something that, these are some of the cornerstones in any type of relationship, whether it be a friendship or a romantic relationship, that you need to have. You need to have that open communication so that nobody's festering. My dad, I mean, some people would say, why would you take your dad's advice? You know, he cheated on your mom and now they're divorced. But the thing is that my dad, even though he may not have really practiced what he preached, but he knew what he was talking about. He always told me, he goes, if you're happy all the time in a relationship, then someone's not being honest. Because you can't agree on everything. You can't not fight. So he's like, if you're not fighting every once in a while with your significant other, and I even appropriate this to friendships as well. If you're not fighting every once in a while or having a disagreement, someone's not being honest with you. You cannot agree on everything. It's impossible for everybody to agree with everything that everybody else is saying, or the way that they're saying it, or you know, in every mood. Like, it's not possible. So that was one of the best advice I ever got from my dad, and I use that always. If you're always agreeing on something, then someone's lying. And you don't want dishonesty in a friendship or a relationship. So I think that's one of the biggest things that my dad ever told me. And he told me about communication being key, even though, you know, maybe that was a factor in the reason why my parents didn't end up staying together. But the thing is that with those guys, with my parents, I love them very much regardless of any situation that has happened. And they're better off apart than they ever were together. I learned a lot about my mom after my dad left. I learned that she was funny. I didn't know that because my dad was always the comedian. So I learned that my mom was funny, and I remember telling her that one day. I'm like, Mom, I didn't know you were funny. And my mom held on to that. That's one of her favorite stories, is like, oh, Darcy didn't know I was funny and whatever until Brent left. And, you know, it was great. And, you know, I bonded with my mom. I had a lot better you know, relationship with my mom afterwards. I found out more about her as a person and her life and stuff like that afterwards. Because my dad had a very dominant personality, which is not bad at all. I am a lot like my father, not just in my looks, but in the way that I act, in the way that I talk, in the way that I explain things. I'm very much my dad in that aspect, much to my mother's side of the family's chagrin. But, you know, I'm proud of that. My dad's a good looking man, so that means I got to be either a really boyish looking female or he's a feminine looking man. Either way, my dad's not bad looking. So if I look like my dad, then that's a compliment to me. My dad's pretty good looking. I can't really lie about that. But yeah, these are some of the things that I learned from him, and I learned from my mom. My mom kind of taught me more about the compassionate part of being, you know, in a relationship or in a friendship. My mom was very much the touchy-feely type of person, which is fine with me because that's how I am. So I'm a really good amalgamation of the two. The compassion, the understanding, the insight, all, in my opinion, comes from my mom. Not that my dad wasn't compassionate, but he definitely was. My dad was a sensitive guy. Not overly sensitive. Don't take my words wrong. But I learned a lot from both parents, and even though they're not together, I still love them very much, and I find that they're better off apart than they were together. As weird as that sounds. I'm not saying that the time that they were together was bad, but, you know, I enjoyed learning a lot more about both of my parents after this. So, yeah. But my dad taught me about communication. My mom, even more so, drove that into me about communication, and the failure of communicating can really just break down a relationship. And that's with friends and with family and with, you know, a romantic relationship. It's all very, very important. So friendship, you need to have communication because it is a relationship. It is a friendship. It is a friend relationship. It's a friendship. So always communicate with your friends. You need those people that are going to communicate with you, that, you know, you're not afraid to cry in front of. Even though I hate crying in general, I would cry in front of these people. These people have seen me cry on multiple occasions, and I'm comfortable with that because of how much I trust them, which has come with the fact that we communicate. Like, you can't really trust someone that you don't talk to all that well. So yeah, there you go. My insight on friendships and relationships and all that jazz. More of that to come, I guess. But yeah, so today I work from 11:30 to 9. Tomorrow I'm working 12:30 to what? 10. 12:30 to 10. And then I'm on vacation. Woot woot! I'm excited. So I will be trying to do more videos over the weekends and over my vacation. If I don't get a lot in, I do apologize. My plan is to rest and relax while I'm away. But I will be doing my best to get a video up. I'm going to try to get my interview one where I have like a special guest in during that time. Yeah, so I will see you guys later. I love you guys. Kid Charming out.